All right, everybody. Hello. Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming today. My name is Lynn Drinkwater, and I work here at the Senior Enrichment Center. I'm the program coordinator. And so I had the pleasure of meeting Caleb last year. He helped me with a situation where my sister had passed away, and I had some of her silver that the attorney told me I had to sell, and she highly recommended Caleb. And I was like, oh, okay, well, he's close. He's in Carthage. This would be great. My husband and my niece and I all walked in. We're not really in the greatest of spirit or mind at that point. And Caleb was just so wonderful, nice, welcoming, warm. And it's nice to meet locals. And that's what locals make us all feel like. And that's probably one of the reasons why we all live here if we're not from this area. And Alvita Person back there in the room, family caregiver advisor here at the senior center, she's like, I know Caleb, because she saw your last name and then she recognized that she's another native to the area. So I thank you all for coming. Caleb owns a shop in Carthage called Coins of the Pines, and when we were being helped by him, I asked him, I said, have you ever thought about coming to the senior center maybe and doing a talk, and then maybe doing like appraisals, kind of like Antique Roadshow? And he said, oh, I'd love to do that. So I'm glad you guys are here. It's a wonderful thing. And so without further ado, here is Caleb and his lovely wife, Maria.
Thank you, Ms. Drinkwater. So as Ms. Drinkwater said, my name is Caleb Calflinch, and it's a pleasure to have you all here today. And hopefully we'll go over some things that may interest you or you may have some questions on. My wife, Maria, here, she has took the day off from work to come help me, which I greatly appreciate. So first off, there's a few things I like to cover. There's people really sometimes have no idea what they might have in a drawer or an old jewelry box and the values of those items. The number one thing that I see come into my shop a lot of times is people truly think that their items may be only worth a few dollars, could be worth hundreds of dollars. And that's something that's a real scare to me, because if you don't go to somewhere that's honest or go to someone that is upright in how they conduct their business, you could be taken advantage of. And so that's one of the things that when Ms. Drinkwater offered this, I said, yes, I would love to do it, just if nothing else, to educate some people about some possible values of their items. I'm sure there's some questions and anything like that. I'm going to have my wife show y'all a few different items that I brought today that are probably the most common thing that I do see come in. This one right here would be the typeset. So this is just basically, you can walk around and show them if you want to. So basically that is a typeset of U.S. coins. So it has pennies, nickels, quarters, dimes, dollars. And not all the coins in there are actually worth more than face value, but it gives you an idea of the type of coinage that you may have that is worth more money. So all quarters, dimes, and half dollars made up till 1964. A lot of people kept them because they knew silver was being phased out. So people would hold on to them, put them in jars, stuff like that, are all 90% silver. They are all worth more than face value. You do not want to cash them in for face value. A dime right now is around $4 a piece is what I'm paying for them. They're sometime at one point earlier this year, silver was $110 an ounce. Right now it's sitting around $73 an ounce. Still much higher. 3 years ago, silver was 20 something dollars an ounce. It's pretty crazy what it has done, and will probably continue to do. A lot of factors push silver and gold down, and a lot of factors push it up. It's just nobody really knows. If they try to tell you they do, they're making it up. I do it for a living and can't figure it out. But anyway, dimes are, like I said, around $4. Half dollars are around 20 something a piece. Quarters are about $10 something a piece. So all that you wouldn't want to cash in for change. Only in the half dollars, the Kennedys from 65 to 69. For some odd reason, they made those out of 40% silver. not the quarters or the dimes, just the half dollars from 65 to 69. Those are worth more than face value. You definitely don't want to cash those in. That's something else to keep an eye out for. Morgan dollars, peace dollars, it's all about condition. My wife has some here. I'm going to have her show to everybody. So this is a collection of Morgans that I bought from a gentleman. They are about uncirculated coins, possibly BU, which stands for Brilliant Uncirculated Coins. Truly, the only way to know that is to have a coin graded, which I will show you a graded example of a gold piece here in a moment. But Morgan dollars, they start out in roughest shape between $40 and $50, somewhere around in there. They go up from there. Certain mint marks matter. Carson cities matter. There's other rare dates. 1895S is a rare date. And I have some red books here. I always tell people if they're interested, I have older ones that I just hand out to people. I have 3 of them here. Be happy if you would like one. I can give you one of these 3. If not, I'm sorry, you'll have to come by the shop, but I'll be happy to give you one. They're not up to date, but they at least tell you the mintages, what is considered a rare coin, what is not, based on the mintage numbers, because that's truly what makes a coin rare. Less that were made at the mint, a lot of them were destroyed, the more the coin is worth. So that would be basically cover the Morgan dollars and the peace dollars. As I said, the Carson cities are the most valuable Morgans normally. The peace dollars in 1921, they made Morgans and peace dollars. It was the only year they did that. They made the 1921 peace dollar in Philadelphia only, and they only made it for about a month at the end of the year of that whole. Oh, so the value on those just depends. There's a few of them in here that are a little bit better. On something like that, you're looking between anywhere from $60 to $75 would be a value on those. Is what I would sell them for. The gentleman I quoted these the other day, I told him $65 a piece for the whole set. A gentleman was looking at them to buy them from me. Most of the time on something like that, what I sell it for, I'm going to pay about 10% back of what I would sell it for. That gives me a margin. That gives me a little room to make money. It's all. I think it's fair. I try to be fair on my buy and my sales. The peace dollars, as I said, the 1921 was, and the peace dollar was only made for the 1 month of that year, maybe 2. The 1921 Morgan is the most common Morgan. They made 40 or 50 million of them. So people get the idea that it's a 21, it's rare, but it's not. In a peace dollar it is, in a Morgan it is not. It's a common date. When I say certified and graded, you'll see places on TV, online sometimes, and they're like certified by, and it'll just be some company. Anybody can open a coin grading company. I could call it Calflinch's Grading. Doesn't mean that it's respected or followed by the coin collecting community. There are 2 main groups that are companies. There's PCGS, which this coin here, which is a $2.50 gold piece, and then NGC are the 2 that are the most respected. And pretty much, if they have one graded MS63 from either company, people are going to buy it as an MS63 coin, which means mint state 63. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, 70 being perfect, 1 being the worst. So, oh yes, $2.50 gold piece. So that, when I say graded and certified, that's what I mean. If somebody's trying to sell you a coin in a 2x2 flip and they're saying it's certified and graded, it is not. If they have wrote a grade on it, it's just an opinion, just like I have an opinion. Until it is put in that holder by one of those 2 companies, it is not for sure that that coin is graded at that level. So that coin right there, minimum $750, maximum, highest retail you held out and really pushed for it, possibly $1,100. something like that. In gold value alone, you're looking at about a $600 in gold value there, just in the coin itself, just if you sold it and just off the gold value. So they can add up. That coin has a little over a 10th ounce of pure gold in it. The coin itself is the what now? You're fine. I believe it's 1905. Yes, 1905. So they made gold coinage like that up till 1933. FDR passed the New Deal and enacted the Gold Act. Basically, when he done that, it made it illegal to own gold. So you were supposed to turn all your gold coins in so they could be melted and put into the reserves for the nation. There was small ounces made for coin collectors, dentists, and jewelers. So most of the gold coins that's called pre-33 gold, because it was made prior to 1933. So most of those coins that survive now are because coin collectors kept them, or because, as all true Americans, the government tells you to do something, and you're like, no, I'm not turning my gold in. So and there are still, to this day, hordes of gold coins found. Believe it or not, there was one done in Kentucky not that long ago. They found 686 gold coins. It was called the Great Kentucky Gold Hoard. And somebody had buried them in a steel can. And a couple found them on their property. And so it's really pretty amazing. Once again, gold coins, that would be considered a common day coin, just a graded coin though, because it is a mint state, which is, considered, mint state means that it has not been beat up and well circulated. So mint state basically means somebody had that coin. It wasn't actually used for what it was meant to be, which would be circulation. That coin was meant to be spent. You would go somewhere and buy $2.50 worth of items. That coin would be paid, and it was an everyday thing. So most coins that are collectible now were meant for commerce. So they're not perfect, but doesn't mean that they're not worth something just because they're beat up. Let's go to something else. So modern gold. In 1986, President Ronald Reagan signed into law an order that the U.S. government would start producing. No, I'm leaving it in. The U.S. government would start producing gold and silver coins for the public again. So that right there is a 1 ounce gold eagle, 1986 or 87, and it is 1 ounce pure gold, and that is a proof. Proof means it was double struck under intense heat and pressure, which gives it that shiny mirror finish. Most 1 ounce gold eagles don't look like that. They look more like that 90% gold, $2.50. But those were made, and so those are modern bullion, and those are, like I said, 1 ounce pure gold, but you won't see anything like that pre-1986. They make gold eagles, silver eagles in different denominations. Very collectible. A lot of people buy them for investment purposes. They put money into them to keep the hedge against inflation. That coin, if you bought it in 86, would have probably cost you around $350. Matter of fact, the gentleman who sold it to me, he had the paperwork from the mint where he had ordered them, and that's pretty much what it cost. Now that coin's worth around $4,600 to $4,700. So that gives you an idea on what things that you might have bought a while ago that weren't very much could add up now. That is just one example I like to bring. The thing I really love, and a lot of people, he already had one question on it on some silver certificates. I love currency. U.S. currency is very collectible, especially older currency from the 1800s, 1900s, Civil War currency. I brought a couple of examples of that. So when my wife gets done, I'll have her walk around and show that to you. And then I'll take some questions. And if anybody has any questions, I'd like to be happy to answer them. And then we'll go through, and anybody wants to continue and show anything that they might want to get appraised, I'd be happy to look at it. I'm not very good at this, at the public speaking. I appreciate y'all bearing with me. It's a 1 ounce gold eagle, 1 ounce proof gold eagle. So they call them a walking liberty as well. Yes, people do call them walking liberties. I call them a 1 ounce gold eagle. It's Lady Liberty walking on the front. It's Lady Liberty on the front. I actually have a walking liberty $half here that I'll have her show. So this is a $half type set. This shows all the $half designs that were made by the U.S. government. And there's one missing in here, which is a super high dollar one that would be a dream for me to have, but eventually maybe. So they show there's a cat bust, a seated liberty, a barber, a walking liberty, a Franklin, and then Kennedy, which they still make today. You can still go to the bank and say, hey, I want to roll a Kennedy $half. They'll order it in for you. Now, the Franklins and the walking liberties, most of those are bought and sold based around silver value, and the barbers as well. The cat bust and the seated liberty halves will always be bought and sold for more than silver value, no matter the condition normally, unless they're just totally wore down, because they are very collectible, especially the cat bust. Certain cat bust $half can go for, depending on condition, thousands and thousands of dollars. They're $half. They're a cat bust $half, so they made them up into the 1830s. CAPPED, cat. And basically, these are just industry terms. They call it a cat bust because the lady has, you'll see on the coin, and some of them actually had a cap on them, the earlier ones in the 1790s when we started producing coinage in this country. We didn't actually start producing our own coinage until like 1794, 1795 in this country, a couple years after the Revolutionary War. But they're pretty interesting, and I love history, which is how I got into this. I think that coins, it's amazing to hold one in your hand and think about whose hands may have touched it, what it might have been used for. To me, that's the part I really like. So I find it very interesting. A lot of people do. That's why they're still collecting them. On the currency, so just like a coin, I'll put this about the coins and the currency. Like anything, like a car, a house, condition is everything. The better shape a coin or a piece of currency is, the more money it will get you on the sale. Bills that have been folded, tore, have pinholes in them, miscoloration, have had ink wrote on them, those are not as valuable, even though it may be a better note. The better the shape and the condition, the more the item is worth. And that includes coins. One thing that I always tell people, I had a lady come in with a coin, a pretty rare Morgan, and her sister had sent it to her and wanting to get an ID on it. Well, as soon as she showed it to me, I knew it had been cleaned. Her sister had took the coin and took a Brillo brush and scrubbed it because it was dirty. Now, for anybody out there wondering, that is not a good idea. If the coin should not be cleaned, you can, wipe it off with a rag or a paper towel, but do not try to put it in any acetone, any silver cleaning solution, anything like that, and do not, whatever you do, scrub it with a Brillo brush. It will definitely decrease the value. Now, yes, ma'am. You can use a soft cleaner, but even that, I encourage people not to touch them, not to clean them, scrub them. Me myself, I don't clean coins. It's just what you do. To me, you're hurting the value of it immediately. Even if it is extremely dirty, there's somebody who's going to like that it's dirty like that. They call it patina. It's not called dirty. It's called patina. And so people like original patina. There's literally gentlemen who collect coins who will not buy what they call a blast white coin. So a blast white coin is a coin that looks like it was just made at the mint. It's been graded. It looks perfect, shiny. Certain gentlemen who collect coins will not buy that. They want them crusty, as they say. They want an original patina on the coin. So I always suggest don't clean it. If you do, you may possibly lose money. Yes, sir. Did they say the same thing? Yeah. Yeah. Never clean one. It's just a bad idea. So the one that's missing is this bust coin. Truly, there's one called a flowing hair. They made it in 1795, 1796. There's one in June that I would like to go look at that I know somebody has for sale. It's in a lot rougher shape than this. In a good shape, you're looking at thousands of dollars for one of those. And the one in rough shape is still worth probably about $1,000. It's in a good detail grade, which means you can basically make out the date and that's it. And it's still worth about $900, $1,000, somewhere around in there. So once again, older it is, more it's worth. Now that doesn't necessarily apply to all things. Had a question on wheat pennies. Most wheat pennies are bought and sold somewhere between 2 to 5 cents. There are better dates that are worth more than that, obviously, but majority of wheat pennies are not much more than face value. Buffalo nickels, which a lot of people have, which have the Indian chief on one side, the buffalo on the back, those are normally bought and sold between 15 to 30 cents a piece. There are better dates. The big one is a 1937 three-leg, which is an era because when they make a coin, they strike it on a planchet, which is just a piece of metal with nothing on it to make the coin. So the coin starts as a planchet, it goes on a die, and then it's struck and minted. The die had got wore out. So instead of having 4 legs on the buffalo, they produced them with 3, which was an era at the mint. They should have never got out into the public. Of course, it was a Friday probably, and whoever was running the machine that day wasn't paying attention. Those coins start out at several $100s and can go up from there, depending on grade and condition. One other one that is not super valuable but is collectible would be the V nickel, which has Lady Liberty on the front and a V on the back. They call it a V nickel. So nickels do not have silver content in them. There was only a 3-year span when they actually did. Those were in World War II. They needed the silver for the war, nickel for the war effort. So what they did was they put 35% silver in the nickel itself. Those, the way you can identify them on the back above the Monticello, the building, there'll be a P or a D or a S. That signifies where it was minted at: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco. Those are worth more than face value. You're looking at $2 to $3 a piece, but not super rare. People do collect them though, so they are valuable, and they also have silver. The V nickels, there's a couple of dates that are better that can be worth $200 to $300 a piece in rough condition and go up from there. But for the most part, they're bought and sold for around 50 cents to $1, somewhere around in that range. Not too crazy. The only other thing that a lot of people see that they think is worth a lot of money that I do see come in is steel cents. Steel cents were made only 1 year in 1943. So they made the penny out of solid steel that year, out of steel. There's one in this typeset, 1943 Lincoln. It's the one that looks almost like aluminum kind of, Yeah, blue. That's a steel cent. So they made them in 1943. They only made them 1 year. Well, it was the first time the government made a coin that was not actually worth its weight in its metal. So being the government, they made 100, 200 million of them. They're cool. People like to buy them to give to their kids because most people have never seen a steel cent. But in reality, they're still worth just about 2 to 4 cents a piece. In really good shape, graded, you might get $30 for them. So, but the grading fees are about $30. So really, it's kind of a wash. on them, but they are neat, and I do see those come in a lot because there is a 43 copper cent that was made by accident. Once again, the planchets got mixed in. It's a mint era coin. It was not supposed to go out. I believe there's about 9 of them known, maybe 13 now. I don't keep up with the exact numbers. They can sell for anywhere from 300,000 to 400,000 at auction, and go up from there. So that's the coin that everybody hopes for and wishes for and looks for. Most of the time, though, it's just a steel cent that's dirty. But that's just a cool piece of information. On the currency, I'm going to show one piece of currency real quick, and then we'll open it up for any questions. So this right here is a gold note, a $100 gold note. So at the time, if people didn't want to carry $100 in gold coins in their pocket because it's heavy, also it's gold, so understandably people might not want to carry that. You could go to the bank and deposit $100 gold in gold coins, and they would issue you this note. So this is a 1922, which is right before the gold standard went in. So they would take it, and you could take that note and go into a bank and say, hey, here's my $100 gold note. Say you were traveling from here to New York. You would go to your local bank, say here in Southern Pines, turn in your $100 in gold coins. They would issue you that note, $100 in gold coin. You get to New York. You go into the bank in New York. I want my gold coins. You give them the note. They issue you $100 in gold coins. Now you haven't traveled all that way with that money. It's a piece of paper money, much smaller and easier to conceal, hide, and carry than a $100 in gold coin. So that was our money used to actually be backed by gold and silver. That's why you see silver certificates were backed by silver. You could take a silver certificate into the bank, turn it in, they would give you a Morgan dollar. You could take a gold note like that in, they would give you gold coinage like this. So our money actually used to be, worth its weight, or what it was printed on it, in gold and silver, which is kind of crazy to think now because it's just kind of, we all got a handshake, basically. But it is good to have that type of stuff. That is more collectible for just the artwork. Currency collectors are a small group in the coin collecting community. I am one of them. I love collecting currency. It is my passion. It's what I truly enjoy doing. And I think the artwork on it's beautiful. Our money used to be made beautifully. And I like the history of it once again, how many hands it went through and all that. It is a kind of a niche market, unfortunately. There's a lot of coin shops don't really deal in it. It's something that I've always specialized in. So any questions in currency or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. If you have friends or family who have any questions on something that maybe they inherited, feel free to reach out to me on that. So, yes, ma'am. So, no, I will deal in some foreign. I do deal in some Canadian and stuff. There's the foreign market, I will tell you, is a lot of foreign coins are just worth nothing because the currencies are dead. Especially like from Africa, Central America, because there was a lot of regime changes in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And so the currencies will be dead. Even lira from Italy, when they went to the euro, the lira became worthless. So a lot of the foreign stuff, if it's gold or silver got content, I will buy it. Canadian quarters, dimes, up until 64 were 80% silver. So I will buy those based off of silver value. Silver dollars and half dollars, Olympic sets, stuff like that. I will purchase stuff like that. And those are normally made of sterling, 925. So 92.5% pure silver, or they may be pure silver. Yes, ma'am. 1976, probably Montreal Olympics. Yes. I bought many of those. Yeah. Yes. So Patton was, I believe he was a cabinet member. I'm not sure exactly for what president. You'll see on a lot of old money, there's people that we don't know. I have no idea on some of them. I've seen they even had Martha Washington on some money back in the day. So the whole idea that Susan B. Anthony was the first woman on a piece of U.S. coin or currency is kind of a myth. Martha B. Washington was on the back with George Washington on notes from the 1900s, 1890s. But there'll be different treasurers and stuff like that put on them. Benton, I believe, he was a cabinet member or a treasurer operator. This note itself, retail, you're looking at around $1,400 for that note. That note was bought. She was with me when I bought it. We bought it we went almost to Virginia to buy this note. A lady contacted me and told me that she had some notes and some gold that she wanted me to look at, and did I make house calls? So I said, Saturday, we'll be there. Me and my wife got in the car, and we went up there, and this was one of the notes she had. Her husband had it. It was not graded at the time. I sent it in and got it graded. Her husband had it, and it was just in a book. She said, I'll just take it I can get $100 for it, right? I said, I believe it's worth more than that. So I ended up purchasing it, and she had some 18 karat gold I purchased, and she was happy. She said that she had took it somewhere and they had offered her $200 for it. I believe I ended up paying her around $1,000 for it before I got it graded. So took a little gamble. It graded a little higher than I thought it would. I'm happy. This is actually not for sale. This is one of my personal collection. But anyway, so I have all this stuff on display up here. If you'll want to come look at any of it, my wife will be happy to, you can hold it in your hands. Just don't try to take it out the door with you. But yeah, I mean, if you want to study over any of it, feel free. Like I said, I'd have no problem with that. Any questions? I would love to field any questions that anybody may have. And then after that, we can go over, and if anything needs to be appraised, I'd be happy to look. Yes, ma'am. So best thing I always tell people to do, if you're going for based off of the collectible value, if you think you may have some that are worth more than others, they make these 2x2 flips. They're called, they're literally just called flips. They're 2x2 polythene plastics. You put one coin, they have little sleeves on it. You put the coin in, you bend it over, and then you just stack them into a little box or something like that. Coins, avoid moisture. A cool, dry place is the best place to store currency or coins. Moisture is what will cause toning on coins. So toning is the darkening of the coin itself. That's probably the best way to do it. I always tell people, if you have a safe or something like that, you can go online to Amazon and order what they call silica bricks. So basically it's looks like a sponge almost, and it's made of silica. You put it in the safe, that will draw the moisture to that brick instead of any items that you may have. And this works for paperwork, firearms, anything that you do not want to get damp. That will work. The bricks are reusable most of the time. You have to check with the manufacturer guidelines on it, but a lot of times you can take them and put them in the oven at 350. It'll tell you how to do it, and then you can bake them, and literally for like 20 minutes, and it'll pull the moisture out of that silica brick, and then you can just continue using it. That would probably be my best option for you, to be honest with you. If it's coins that are just more like 90% silver, quarters, dimes, half dollars, you could just really put them in tubes or in a bag. Yes, 2x2. And but something that you think may have more of a collectible value, you definitely want to keep it separated from other coins. Keep it from beating on each other. When a coin is graded, every little nick, dent, thing, ding, all that is put into the grade. So it's best to keep them separated, keep them from beating together. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, ma'am. So is it like a now? What kind of coin is it? Let me. Yeah. So most of the time, once silver is set in a like you'll see like Morgan dollars set in um, money clips. You'll see them set in bezels for necklaces. Belt buckles is another common thing. A lot of times that really hurts the value of the coin as a collectible. So it is normally done unless it's a better date, more based off of the silver value. So it would not necessarily be the same because most of the time the belt buckle or the money clip would be sterling, which is 92.5% pure silver. The coin itself is 90% pure silver. So the weights, they would have to be separated and the weights figured for both items because the melt value would be different on each item. I don't know if that helps you with the. Mm, mm, it depends. So condition of the coin is everything. Condition of the coin and mintage. If it was a better year, it would of course be worth more. Yeah, obviously it would be worth more. But in general, if it's like a coin set in a cross, it would basically be around the same is what you would be looking at, roughly the same value, depending on if the coin was silver or not. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? I'm selling coins, scrapping gold, selling. It's a mix of everything. So you can't do one thing and survive. You have to do everything. Me personally, if it was up to me and I could make a living doing it, I would only mess with currency. It's my passion. I really enjoy it, but you can't just do that. You have to do 4 or 5 things. So I buy gold jewelry, which I scrap. I buy gold and silver bullion, which I resell. I buy collectible coins and resell currency. I send coins off for people to get graded. I can to like NGC or PCGS service. A little bit of everything, and then also I buy a lot of sterling flatware, and that adds up very quickly. Sterling flatware is people don't realize how much value sometimes it is. There can be I've bought sets for $8,000-9,000 before, depending on the place setting and the weights. It's all based on the weights, and then of course what silver and gold is doing at the moment on the market, because it's all based on the market at that moment when you were selling it. You can hold on to it, and the price may go up, the price may go down. It's a roll of the dice, and there's no way to predict it accurately. I wish I could. I'd be I'd be real happy if I could predict it, but there's no magic 8 ball to figure it out. Truly, it's just you do the best you can at the moment, and that's what I try to do, and it's served me pretty well. If you're honest in this business, you're not going to get rich. You're going to make a living, which and enjoy your life. I mean, truly, that's if you're people. If you know somebody who deals in gold and silver, or buys gold, silver, and coins, or deals in that, and you knew them, and then they've been doing it for 5 or 6 years, and now all of a sudden they have a beach house, then they're probably a very honest person. I'm just going to be honest with you about that, because the goal should be to have that maybe in 30 years when you retire. You sell your house, and then you can have a beach house, because you've made a living and you've been honest. But if you know somebody who's involved in coins or gold or something like that, and they do that, that means they're taking advantage of people, because you should be paying a fair percentage. That's the number one goal in my mind. I want when people deal with me to feel like they were treated fair and honestly. Because when I see people in the street, Moore County is a small place. We have like 120,000 residents now, but it's still a small place. My family's been here since the 1700s, 1740s, 1750s. I don't want to have to see people and worry about what they think about me. I already know what they think about me because of how I conduct my business. And if you don't have that mindset, you're not going to last in this business long. One lady asked me about there's a gentleman who comes around and sets up in the hotel in Pinehurst occasionally. I will tell you right now, he is not paying fair. He is not paying fair. I know that for a fact. I've had people come sell me things after they have seen him, and you have no ties here, so why would you? You can fly in and fly out, and nobody's ever going to see you again. So that's one of the things that when I opened my shop, I made a promise to myself that we would do things the right way, and that's what I endeavor to do every day. I'm not trying to, like I said, if you're doing this right, you're not going to buy a beach house in 5 years. You make a very small margin. Most things are bought and sold. 10% margin is about the average. Some things there may be a 15% on. Some things there may be a 5% on. It all evens out to around about 10% is what you're looking at, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're doing the other week, we did how much on Friday? So Friday, just for example, Friday I bought a collection $100,000. Doesn't yeah, I made 5% on that collection. But if you do that and you're being honest and you're moving that amount, it doesn't really matter that you're making 5 or 10% because it adds up. So that's how I look at it, and that's the way I like to conduct. Yeah, and you're helping the family a lot of times because it's normally somebody has passed away or left a inheritance and people don't want it, what it's worth, and they need help figuring out and how to sell it. Because just because you have something worth a lot of money doesn't mean you can sell it easily. And that's a big problem as well, especially when you get into the super rare coins. The average person will not be interested in taking that coin off your hands unless they're stealing it from you on a price, because it's going to take them a long time to sell that coin, because there's only a small finite amount of people who are looking for that coin at that, knowing the price of that coin. So that's something else I always try to implore the people to, is to keep that in mind when you're dealing with real valuable stuff. I don't know if that answers your question or not. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Yes, ma'am. Brillo pad. So, to be honest with you, sometimes it's super hard to tell. I have bought coins that I thought were good and sent them into the grading company, and they have broke my heart and said, "You fool, it's clean." And that's really it. Even me, who does it for a living, the coin may have been cleaned 50, 60 years ago. I can't tell. It was 50, 60 years ago. When they look under, they have huge microscopes that zoom in a million times, and when they look at it, they say, "Oh, well, this coin was clean." Well, to my eye, with a loop, a 20 power loop, a jeweler's loop, I can't see that. So it is hard to tell. The easiest way to tell truly is when you look at it under a loop or under a magnifying glass. If you see a lot of fine scratches in a particular area or over the whole face of the coin, that means it was scrubbed harshly. Or in the 80s, there was a thing they did called whizzing, which was they would take a Dremel and they would put a bit on it, but not like a Dremel bit like you would use for wood or steel. It was like a polishing bit. And basically what it would do is it would take a thin layer of the surface of that coin off. So now the coin would look fresh and brand new from the mint, but it's been whizzed, and the coin company, you see coins come back whizzed, you see them come back improperly cleaned, and a rare coin, it does hurt the value of it, but it's still a rare coin. So the one that I bought from that lady that she had cleaned with that Brillo brush, I paid her $325 for the coin. If she hadn't cleaned it, it would probably have been more like $600. So it cut the value pretty much in half on the coin. So if you're not sure, don't mess with it, is what I always implore to people. Any more questions? Yes, ma'am. So I have a license through this local municipality of Carthage to purchase gold and silver, jewelry, and flatware. The coins themselves, there is no licensing. There is no license to do it. Yep, you could hang it literally. People, I mean, that's true. People do that. You can send out mailers to somebody, and just like that gentleman, he has no license in the state of North Carolina. Now, what I do have, I have a resale certificate from the state of North Carolina, which I have displayed in my shop. I have a license from the town of Carthage to conduct business, and I have a license from the Carthage Police Department to conduct business. No, not truly. I belong to the American Numismatic Association, which is the ANA. I belong to them. I'm a member of NGC and PMG, which are the grading company. But I mean, anybody can join PMG or NGC. Truly, you could go online, pay the submission, pay for the membership, and you're a member. There's ANA, you can pay the membership, and you're a member. So there really is no, in this country, not just in North Carolina, oversight over this business. So it's really it's scary. Yeah, it truly is. This business is truly, it's a business of your word and relationships. If you break your word to people the word will get around, and people will not do business with you. I've had, as I've said, write checks for this, write checks for that, and basically you're just trusting each other that the check is good. I've gentlemen's checks for 50, 60,000. I've sent them the product. I've sent people $70,000, $80,000 in product, and waited 2 weeks to get paid. And which we understood that. I knew that when I sent them the product. But as long as you stick to your word, you're okay. But there is no licensing. The schooling, you learn on the job. That's how I learned it. It was a passion of mine when I was young. My father used to reupholster furniture just as a thing he liked to do as a hobby. We would go to antique shops. He would buy furniture. He would reupholster them. They used to be able to go into antique shops and they'd have big chests of Confederate money. And that's what I started with, was buying Confederate paper money, and as a child, and it kind of grew from there. I've been doing it for a living now for going on about 6 years. Is that right? Well, my boss here can tell me. And before that, I worked construction. I did concrete and asphalt. I worked on Fort Bragg. So it's in Carthage. In Carthage, right at the courthouse. So, yes, ma'am, right at the courthouse. I'm literally directly across from the courthouse. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yep. Right there where there was a dentist office up above a long time ago. Yep. Yep. In Carthage, right there at the courthouse. Yep. Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 5:30. If you do need a Saturday appointment, just reach out to me. I got you. If you need a Saturday, just reach out to me. I will have my wife give out cards to everybody and these little flyers. And yeah, you can go ahead and do it now. And if anybody needs a Saturday, just to check with me like maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Make sure I've got a boss. So we have things to do sometimes. And sometimes I'll go to, like I said, do house calls on Saturdays for people. So yeah, I would be happy to make a house call for you, or you could come to the office, either one. Whatever works easier for you would be fine with me. But yeah, that's Calflinch, yes ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Chow like chow chow, and then flinch like somebody jumped at you. Okay. Oh yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'd be happy to look at them for you. Yeah. Any more questions? Well, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Anything made of sterling, I'll buy. Yes, ma'am. As long as it's so they do make plated stuff. As long as it's true, most good sterling will say sterling on it. Stuff that is plated, the easy way to detect it, if it says EPNS on it, that's electroplating, nickel silver. It's no good. Deep silver, A1 silver, True sterling will say sterling on it. It'll be small. Yeah. Yeah, and it'll tarnish. Yeah, yeah. And well, plated stuff will tarnish too. But just you always look for that sterling mark. It'll actually say the word sterling on the item, and it'll be on. Sometimes it's hard to see. If you ever have any problems, like I said, you can always bring it to the office. I'd be happy to look at it for you. It'll be even like on flatware sets. So you got your small spoons, your large spoons, your big spoon, big forks, small forks. On every piece, it'll say sterling. Yep. Yes, ma'am. Oh yeah. It doesn't have to be a set. It can be one piece or 20 pieces. It doesn't matter. It's all based on the silver value of the item. How did that go for you? Yes. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They hand cash. I always try to. I can do cash or check. Sometimes I run the bank out of money, and then I have to do a check. Believe it or not, that can happen. I've had that happen a few times. But yeah, normally, and I always tell people this too. You can feel free to get something appraised by me. You don't have to feel like you have to sell it. I'll never push you to sell it, ever. I'll never give you any of that. I don't like that. I don't like that feeling when you go to a car dealership and they come out and they're like, "You're gonna buy it or not? You're gonna buy it or not? You're gonna buy it or not?" I hate it. It's truly I hate it. I don't like it, and so I don't like that when that's done to me. So I don't do it to anybody else. So anything that you ever just want to get an idea on, feel free to bring it. I offer free appraisals on anything, gold, silver, coins, anything like that. You don't have to feel like you have to sell it to me. All I ask is if you ever do decide to sell it, you'll keep me in mind. That's enough of a payment to me. That's fine, and I'm happy to do that for people. The only other thing I can think of, I can't think of it. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I have talked a long time. So we'll open it up now for if you have anything you want to get checked, feel free to bring it up, and I'll be happy to look at it for you. And thank y'all very much for coming, and thank y'all. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Drinkwater.
Isn't he wonderful? And I just want to say, also, I didn't say earlier, but Visiting Angels and Garner Law Firm provided the refreshments for today. So there's water and cookies and some pretzels back there, because I know it's just going to be like one at a time or a couple at a time coming up. And but thank you all for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.